Matt, let me get your surname right, Matt. Is Jembrowski. Am I right?
That's perfect. Matt Zumberski, you got it.
Matt Jembrowski. And I got you, Matt, after a very, very long time. I know we have been planning this. I think we did a prep too a couple of months ago, but then things turned out that we do it today.
Yeah, today's the right day.
Yeah, today is a good day. So I have to do. Where are you based?
I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts, in the US of A.
That's great. So it's morning for you, and it is practically past evening over here. So it normally happens that when I talk to US, all my guests, they have their breakfast, and I'm ready for my dinner. So
that's good. That's good.
So standard work, Matt. Let me just introduce you, and I hope I get the first slide right. Invariably, I don't. I told you I don't normally. Here we go. Matt, thank you very much for accepting my invitation and being my guest on Dr. M's Vodcast. It's series 1. And the basic theme was on whatever continuous improvement methodologies that you use. I was more curious as to how do you support and sustain it, because we do a frog leap and we celebrate, and suddenly we see that it gets flatlined, or it starts going back much below the originally where we started. So that's what my curiosity, and that series 1. It's practically a digital library in making, so that people can go through various celebrity speakers like you and your thoughts on it, and people can look into it. I don't have a copyright on this, so it's my mission is connecting all the continuous improvement professionals across the globe. And you come in, and thank you very much for being there for me. And you're on the 49th episode, and there you go, the advisor for the for the Agile Game Changer. I wish at my age I was as agile as you are. So, and
you're very agile.
Yeah, you have been on this for the last 30 years with leaders and teams, and you have this unique art, which I think in America, or is it in Australia, they call it spotting, that you spot young talents and senior management executives, and your specialty is on lean and agile principles, and you're going to take us through the evolution of agile, because most of the time, by the time it came out in 2001, we were more into lean and Toyota production system. So help us out to understand agile, and you're a master at it because you're a coach. And that's what you have said over there, that you help agile leaders. And I was wondering, what are agile leaders like? So there are 2 questions for you. You're going to talk to us about agile, and I'm going to ask you a lot about what you think leadership is all about. So are you game for that?
Very much so. It's my honor to be here, Dr. M. Thank you for having me.
And you're going to talk to us about agile leadership, right? So I'm going to take both the words and both the concepts from you. And this is where I am placed, all the way across thousands of miles away from where you are. I am here on the Western Coast in Mumbai, India. And my mission of this podcast has been to connecting continuous improvement professionals across the globe. And welcome to Dr. M's Vodcast. So I stop sharing, and over to you, Matt. Talk to us about the evolution of Agile. And then this is impromptu meeting, so there are certain questions on leadership, that I have for you. Well, let's start by talking about the evolution of lean. You can connect lean and agile. Leave it to you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thank you for having me here, Dr. M. We've had a good digital relationship over the last year or so. So it's a pleasure to be on your podcast and be part of this episode. And it's timing wise, I think I graduated college right in the right time to answer your question about how lean transitioned into agile and how that worked its way into the corporate world. I graduated college in '93, and that was when lean and total quality management and all that was very popular. And I embraced that, worked with that in business. And then in the early 2000s is when Agile started to be talked about. It was late 1990s when it was sort of behind closed doors, and then it was announced with the Agile Manifesto and so forth like that. And it didn't really pick up, in my opinion, didn't really pick up a lot of steam until 2005, 2010, and then it became a lot more popular in the corporate world. So Agile itself, its evolution you're asking about, it really sits on top of lean and a lot of the lean startup techniques. I don't know if you've seen that book before, The Lean Startup, but it's a great book. I have it right here. I just re-listened to it again. But The Lean Startup, this book actually was published, I think, in 2013. But this book actually, I would say, is one of the key books that launched the evolution from the popularity of lean in the business culture. Lean was very popular, still is in the manufacturing world today, but in the non-manufacturing categories, such as software and government and education and hospitality and lots of other industries that may be non-manufacturing based, that's where Agile started to find its home. And the Lean Startup, again, I think it was around 2013, about 10 years ago or so, maybe it was 2011 when that book came out. That categorized a lot of the core concepts. It didn't actually talk about, it's called the Lean Startup, right? It's not called the Agile Startup. And it didn't use the word Agile a lot in there, but fast forward to today, if you look at that book today, it talks about a lot of the concepts of Agile and Scrum and even Kanban that are very popular today in frameworks and so forth. So short answer to your question is lean is definitely the foundation. You can look at it as the overall umbrella. Agile itself is a mindset that comes out of lean. And then there's multiple frameworks. There's Scrum and Kanban, number of different frameworks, and Scrum is the most popular framework. A framework is simply a recommended way of thinking about and doing, applying Agile in a practical way.
Why the word agile?
Say it again. What is the word Agile?
Why the word agile?
Why the word Agile?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Agile was a word that was created for this purpose. It was already in English language. But Agile meaning the ability to adapt quickly to change and to think about when you ask somebody with say 5+ years of experience, what does Agile mean? An experienced professional will say Agile is a mindset, and it's a way of approaching, it's a way of adapting to change in real time or near real time, and keeping an open growth mindset throughout every day of applying your work. So Agile itself, if you think of an Agile athlete, it's somebody who can adapt and compete well against multiple different teams or multiple different opponents, right? Because they're Agile, they can adjust based on circumstance. It's the same here in business. Agile applied to business and corporations is all about being able to adapt quickly to change. So to put a big example on top of that, think of the pandemic when it started. That was a massive change that hit the world globally. And the companies that were agile prior to that March 2020 timeframe had a much better chance of success, and some of them even flourished throughout the pandemic. Ones that were not ready for change, when that massive wave of change came across the globe, a lot of those companies went out of business. Industries, changed and went out of business in a lot of cases. So a lot of things happen. Changes. I'll answer a little bit differently. The pace of change today, Dr. M, is accelerating. Therefore, you really need to adopt an agile mindset if you're going to be a leader in a company today and you're going to lead a fast-growing organization.
I think I totally agree. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. And I think the uncertainties have also added to the requirement of being agile, because you are not really certain. Earlier during our time, yours was 93, mine was much, probably a couple of decades ago. We used to have 5-year plans, 3 years plans, but those plans don't work anymore because of the uncertainty. You can't even plan for a month. So I think agile word fits in that. How do you change your mindset when things are not going the way you have planned it, and how quickly you can adapt to uncertainty and change, as you rightly put it. So
well said.
So having a short introduction, we have a little bit of, I don't know much about Scrum, but I do know a little bit of how they use Kanban, etc., and showed Agile. But 93, you had such a lovely thing on lean, and one thing good that I love about it, because I'm quite a passionate lean TPS guy. I'm making it very clear that I suffix it by saying lean TPS, because there are a lot of lean. So I'm not going to talk about a lot of lean. I'm lean TPS guy. So, and I'm a Gamba guy, so less of philosophies. And having been in leadership position, I was very curious as to, you had lean, you had the basics of lean incorporated into Agile. So when you were 93 and you got both the concept right, so what is the mission that really matters to you now?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're talking a lot about industries and philosophies, right, with Agile and Lean and frameworks and so forth. If you overlay on that my backstory, which is I grew up, both my parents were human resources professionals their entire careers. So I grew up in a very people-oriented household, which I feel very blessed to have had that opportunity. So we always put people first. That's how I was taught. That's how my parents did it. So going into Agile and Lean and college, and then graduating from college in 93, I put people first. And how can I best serve people with, my role in business and in technology and so forth. And that's why I graduated as an electrical computer engineer, but didn't take a job as a developer working on a keyboard, which I could have done. I took a job instead as an engineer in a marketing department where I'd have the ability to demonstrate some of the engineering creations to various individuals at trade shows and at different marketplaces and things like that. So I was the bridge between the engineering organization and the outside world. That's where I started. And if you continue forward, then it went into project management, which was a lot of lean project management. And then it went into Agile, where I was a Scrum Master of the first Scrum team of a company, and then eventually an Agile coach, and work with leaders and teams and so forth. So you ask, what's my mission that matters right now? Right now, putting people first. I help Agile professionals find work that they really love and continuously level up their skills so they can make a bigger impact and live better lives. To me, that's what matters. I feel blessed to have a good life and to be able to be doing something that I love, affecting people's lives. And I like to help other people do the same. And I'll give you a quick example. There's a woman who's very senior in the industry. She's done it all, done coaching, done scrum mastering, done a lot of different work. She has probably about the same amount of experience as I do. And she was, her company, Agile culture was sort of dwindling that she was currently at. And she wasn't able to affect as much positive change with the people and with the culture and with everything that she's passionate about doing. So you could say almost like if she was a butterfly, like her wings were clipped a little bit. And she felt that. And then when I connected with her, I said, well, let's see if we can find you a better place where you can go and flourish and spread your wings again and really get into something, roll up your sleeves and really do the Agile practice that you want to do and affect a lot of change across an organization. And long story short, I helped her make that transition. She's now going to be working at a small startup company that has a lot of change in front of it and a lot of opportunity for her to affect and impact culture within the company as they grow.
So your target audience would be who? Whom do you really help? The people in the organization?
Yeah, so there's two sides. The people I'm talking about here, helping Agile professionals, passionate Agile professionals is one of my target audiences, and helping them best find their location, whether it's a promotion within their current company, whether it's a different way of viewing their current role, or whether it's a transition to another company, and a matchmaking service, almost like think of a recruiting and staffing opportunity. So on one side, I help the Agile professionals, the people who are passionate about their role and what they do, and they want to do more. They want to have a better career path. They want to accelerate their career path. That's one side. The other side is the fast-growing company leaders. The leaders within these companies need strong Agile professionals and Agile leaders to be able to carry forward and grow their organizations. So having really strong Agile leaders in the fast-growing companies is critical to their success. Otherwise, they're going to struggle with growth, and it's going to be challenging for them.
Where does I always confused as to where leadership starts, and during my corporate life, we had a saying in the organization that the management is one level above your pay scale. So, so
funny.
Where does, according to you, leadership start? Where is the leadership in the hierarchy, or according to you, where is the leadership?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's, I'll give you my answer and also tell you about the industry what I see in the industry today. My answer is that true leadership is the ability to influence positive change without authority in an organization. So you're not influencing change because you're the manager, because you're the boss, and you're saying you have to do this, you have to behave like this because it's your job. Otherwise, we'll find someone else and you'll get fired. So you're not influencing with authority, you're influencing without authority, which means you need to lead by example. You need to present logical arguments and behavior change opportunities in a way that makes sense and that might be adopted by the individuals that are around you as you grow and as you help the organization grow. So true leadership I view as it doesn't relate to title, it doesn't relate to being another level up in the organization, and it doesn't relate to years of experience either. It relates to the way you show up, the mindset that you have, and the way that you interact with other people, and the way that you influence other people and other leaders throughout the organization. And that all can be done without a title and without a number of years of experience and so forth. It's the way you show up. Now, not every company feels that way, or I shouldn't say not every company feels that way. Companies don't really have feelings, but the cultures at companies that have been around for a long time, a lot of times their culture, it's like a big moving ship. It took a long time to get here, and it's going to take a lot longer for it to pivot and start to change. So the very large organizations sometimes, when they try to move to a more agile leadership culture, which is what I'm describing, sometimes it takes some change, patience, and it takes good agile leaders internally to help navigate that change. The smaller companies, the startups, the 100-person companies, 200-person companies, they can move a lot quicker. And because the pace of change is moving fast, those are the companies that are more able to really dive into the market quickly and adjust rapidly today.
Matt, I like what you talked about influencing without authority. And being an Indian, one of the persons that come to my mind, or we regard him as somebody who had influence without authority, and that is Mahatma Gandhi. He had absolutely no authority, but he influenced the entire country to a movement which got us independent. He had no political titles, he had nothing. But we regard him as a person who would influence the entire mass of a nation. And that sticks to what you say, that a leader, if he has the passion, courage, and conviction, can become a leader even if he doesn't have authority. Am I right to that extent on your interpretation?
Yeah, you're fully right. And I appreciate you bringing up Gandhi as a reference and an example, because he's one of my personal mentors and heroes, at least in spirit. I never got the chance to meet him in person, but I've studied a lot of his life and what he's done, and I fully agree. His example of influencing multiple nations without authority, by his example and by his mindset, and there's a lot to it, the vulnerability and openness, and his commitment to the betterment of people, especially the people in his home country, is a guiding light behind how you do influence without authority, and how that's successful. It's what he did is exponentially more significant than what an agile leader would do in a company today, because a company is a smaller organization, but it's definitely along the same lines. But I have tremendous respect for Gandhi.
Conceptually, it is more or less the same. So when you said
Same
that,
concept.
it occurred to me. Now I'm going to use 3 keys to unlock your mindset.
All right.
Okay, so the first key to success in a growing organization of strong leaders, and I'm taking leaders as you defined it, as those who influence without authority. So what is the first key to success in a growing organization?
Yeah, the first key, I mentioned the importance of people. The first key to influence without authority and to be a true agile leader in today's corporate world is relationships. The relationships that you have with people. And that applies to your family. The better your relationships are in your home, outside of work, that's going to positively affect your ability to have positive relationships in the work. If we look inside the workplace, the relationships that you have today, especially in today's world, Dr. M, you and I have seen a lot happen over the last many decades. And before the internet, there was, everything was word of mouth. Things were through news channels in different ways, the way messages were being connected and conducted. Then the internet came in the early 2000s, and then everything got more and more and more digital. Now things are so digital, even social media. Social media is just is a digital landscape of way people can communicate. Stepping back from all that, there's no people-to-people connection. So with all the extra digital layers that we've added on top of our society over the last 20 plus years, we've reduced the ability for the interpersonal connection. You and I are having a connection here. We're thousands of miles apart, but we're having a connection because we're two humans connecting using digital technology. But this is a more effective way of communicating than just sending a text. or just liking each other's social media post and things like that, because we're connecting as humans and we're connecting openly and we're having a conversation. Those conversations are what help people get promoted. Those are what help people get jobs. Those are what help organizations grow quickly, because it's the relationships of the people within the organization that really get the benefit of the team and the organization. You can have a bunch of individuals. Think of like think of a soccer team, football, right? In the US, we call it soccer. Everywhere else in the world, they call it football. And so if you think of a soccer team or a football team, you can have the top 10 athletes plus the goalie, right? I think it's 11, right? So you can have the top 11 athletes in the world all get dropped onto one pitch to play the game. But if they're not operating as a team, they're not going to win the game. Those are the top 11 individuals. So it's not about the individual, it's about the relationships between the individuals. If you let those individuals play together and practice together for a number of weeks or months leading up to, say, the World Cup or something, a big tournament, they'll have a much better chance of succeeding. It's just like that in business. And I'll give you an example. A woman I used to work with, she hired me years ago when I was working at a Bose Corporation. Bose Corporation has all the headphones and speakers, and Dr. Bose was from India as well. Brilliant individual. I worked for his organization when he was still alive, but he had already stepped down at the time. But he built an amazing engineering organization, a lot of lean practices built in there, and a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people. And it still exists today. They're still around. But the example I want to use is about relationships. So this woman who hired me, she was new to the organization at the time. And then say she was there 6 months or so. And then she hired me, and I came in, and I eventually was doing Scrum Master work and Agile coaching work. And that was all fun and exciting. But I watched her, right? She was my manager. And many of the people at Bose had been there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And obviously they knew other people who were there for a while because they had been there for a while. They had some relationships established. But this woman prioritized relationships and personal relationships in the business world. And she networked all over the place. She would have lunches with whoever she could find. And she would meet with different executives, different people, different peers, at all levels of the organization. And I didn't really notice it at first, but she was doing this all the time, ever since she started there. And then what I noticed is when we were running with a number of different project teams and agile teams trying to get things done, every now and then we'd have an impediment or an obstacle that would raise up, and we would have to try to address it. And it would go beyond our team's ability to fix or to make better. So then we would give it to this manager, and we would say, hey, can you help us with this? And she would say, yep, I know exactly who to call. And she would go make a phone call. She would go have lunch. She would go have a meeting with somebody at another part of the organization. No one else in our part even knew who that person was, but she did, because she made it a priority to get relationships established. As a result, she was a very, very effective manager. She led a lot of positive change, a lot more leading with influence than with authority. And she was another good role model, another good example, who I had the pleasure of working with for a number of years. So that's another example about relationships and the power of relationships to really energize and accelerate the leadership opportunities you have in your organization.
So before I come to the second key, even in this relationship, how much does trust matter?
Yeah, it's all about trust. And relationships start with trust. And they actually, I would say, trust is the oxygen of relationships. The trust has to be there for it to start, and it has to be there for it to continue breathing, for the relationship to keep going. You need to have the trust there, and it takes time. Some people get together and the trust is right there right away, and you can start having conversations. You can get right into it. You can start working together, partnering together on different initiatives. Other people and teams, it takes a while. Trust is sort of built into, it's a key aspect of the culture for a number of individuals or a team or an organization. And it's also a key aspect of leadership with relationships. So yeah, trust is really important. And I think trust requires empathy and patience to be able to truly connect with another individual, right? Active listening is another key aspect that helps to develop trust. A lot of the soft skills that don't show up on your resume, but, and this is why one of the things you put up about me in the beginning, how I love scouting talent out there in the marketplace. And I really love helping Agile professionals accelerate their career. Part of the way I do that is by shining a spotlight on the Agile professionals that have really strong soft skills, in addition to their experience and their hard skills and their ability to know Lean and Agile and Scrum and all these different practices and techniques and frameworks. Their ability to influence without authority and gain trust with individuals and build a team and build a culture for an organization. Those are things that are difficult to capture on a resume, but I can see them when I meet with people and my team can see them. And that's how we find the best people to find the right matches in the corporate world. Trust is absolutely a critical factor.
This is not, this is something that has been a concern to me with respect to the word trust. I trust somebody for his competence, like I trust my doctor for his competence. I trust my wife, but those two relations are different. So the word trust, does it have a qualification?
Yeah, interesting. I think it does. I agree with what you're saying. I look and you use the word trust in that same regard. I would say that I would choose a different word if I were to describe that about myself, because I look to people who are leaders in their field, and I gain inspiration. I see them as some of my virtual mentors, right? And I'll give you an example, because you say the relationship is different, right? Between the trust you have for your wife and the trust you have for your doctor. You trust your doctor to give you the right advice for your medical advice and for your body and caring for your body. And you trust your wife in your personal relationships that you have together. Just like that, I guess we could use the word trust too. I trust certain individuals out there who are making a name for themselves, like in sports, for their ability to lead in a particular category of a sport. But I don't trust them in all aspects of their lives. And I'll give you an example, like Tiger Woods, one of my heroes for golf. I'm a golfer. I played golf since I was a little kid. And his work ethic, his ability to do everything he did, I would say he's the greatest of all time. He's probably, arguably, he's probably in the top handful of golfers, greatest golfers of all time. Now, I look up to him and gain a lot of inspiration, and he's almost, you could say, as a leader who I would trust in the field of golf. Now, his personal relationships, I don't trust that. I don't look to him as a leader in that. He's had a lot of issues there, and that's a whole different topic. But that doesn't take away, in my mind, from his ability to lead the field in a sport in golf for what he did, because these are separate categories of living. So anyway, I look to leaders in different fields, but not every leader is a holistic leader across all categories of their life. That's very rare to have that individual or individuals like that. But anyway, it's a more complicated answer, I guess, to you that yes, I view trust differently in different people, and I view the integrity or the quality of the relationship. I gain personally, I gain different value from different aspects of people's characters in their lives.
So we come to the second key for success in a growing organization of strong leaders. Now we are talking of strong leaders, so you have to qualify strong leaders now.
Yeah, so strong leaders, we're talking a lot about leadership, right? So to be a strong leader, we've already talked about a lot of what it takes to be a leader. To be a strong leader, it really takes a second key for a fast-growing organization that we're talking about. And that key is the courage to challenge the status quo. So we talked about Agile and being able to adapt to change. And that's why Agile is here. That's why it's evolving as quickly as it is. And it's going across every industry. That's change coming at you from the outside or even from the inside of the organization. That's change coming at you, and you need to be able to adapt to that. You also, as a strong leader, want to be able to make change happen and inspire teams and organizations to change in certain directions. So this is what I call the courage to challenge the status quo. The status quo is just the way it's always been. A company's been here for a while, and they always do things a certain way, and therefore we're always going to do it that way, right? But the courage, a strong leader would say, no, I disagree with that. I think we need to question everything. As Einstein said, we should question everything all the time. Okay, this is the way that we're operating right now as a company. Is this the way we want to operate tomorrow? Can we change the way we're operating so we can better adapt to the marketplace and to the changes that are coming our way or that might be coming our way? And I can give you an example. So I was the first Scrum Master of the first Scrum team in actually, this is when I was at Bose. In one part of the organization, they hadn't done Scrum before. So they were going to do Scrum. And the first Scrum team was tasked with migrating a complex legacy application of software into the cloud. This is in the early days of the cloud. Now everybody's talking about cloud. And cloud is just an internet-based set of servers. So, but we had to migrate software applications, pretty complicated, over to the cloud, which would be on a whole new platform. And so we started doing Agile and sprints. And I was a new Scrum Master at the time. I had a great Agile coach who was helping guide me and the team through our initial days of doing Agile and Scrum. And early on, within the first sprint or two, we set a goal. We said, all right, our goal is to get access to this new cloud system so we could at least start to put things there, start to organize our plan and so forth. We needed to at least access the system. So as we started going down that path, we realized that a lot of us on the team didn't have access to the system because we needed passwords. We had to talk to IT. We had to get things set up, and it was a new system for the company. So we raised that up as an impediment, and our Agile coach challenged me as a Scrum Master and said, okay, well, that's an impediment. What are you going to do about it? And I said, well, we don't have the authority to make all that happen, right away. The way the process works, the way the status quo is we typically put in a ticket with the IT department. We wait a day or two to be approved by management. And then we wait another 2 to 3 days for access to be granted by the IT team. It probably takes about a week. We'll get access next week. We'll be good to go. And then the Agile coach I had, who had the courage to challenge the status quo and inspired that in me, said, well, why don't we see what we can do about it right now? Since this is something affecting the team right now, and we want to be more agile. So I said, okay, what should we do? He said, well, let's go to the manager's office who's going to approve these tickets, and let's go talk to him and see if he can get the tickets all approved right now instead of having to wait a day or two. And then maybe he could talk to IT and get everything set up right away. I said, well, I don't know. We've never done that before. The status quo is to wait about a week and then it'll be resolved. So he said, okay, let's go upstairs. We had to go upstairs to another level. And the manager had a little window office. The window was facing internally. And he said, and the Agile coach was with me. And I said, oh, it looks like he's busy. He's on the phone. He said, okay, let's pull up a chair. Let's sit outside his office. I said, really? He said, yeah, let's do it. So we pulled up 2 chairs, sat outside the manager's office, the individual who you would say is above your pay level, right? We sat outside his office, and he was looking at 2 of us as he's on the phone having a meeting and thinking, wow, why are these 2 people sitting outside my office? Within 15 minutes or so, his meeting ended, and he called us in, and we had a conversation with him. And long story short, he said, yeah, I'll make a call to IT right now. He picked up the phone, he called IT, and he fast-tracked a change to happen so everybody on the team was able to get access within 24 hours to the new cloud system. So instead of waiting a week or so, we nailed it all within a business day, and we're able to accelerate the progress of the team as a result. So that's an example of challenging the status quo. Without Agile, without challenging the status quo, without that Agile leadership principle, we would have just waited a week. It would have taken that team and that company an extra week to get something done that could have been done in a day. And that's about focus. That's about challenging the status quo when it matters. And that's what another aspect of Agile leadership.
So let's come to the third key. Now, I got a bunch of keys, but I don't have that much of time. So I'll give you the third key and maybe a few rapid rounds, if you don't mind. So the third key to success of a growing organization, of a strong leader.
The third key, and I spoke about this a little bit in the second key, the third key is what I call a bias for action. That's being very action-oriented. So you're able to see a situation around you, pay attention, read the room, see what's happening around you, and then make a decision based on what you see, and then take action based on that decision immediately to affect positive change in the organization. You know, just as that coach shared with me as a Scrum Master, hey, let's take action on this right now. Instead of waiting a week, which is the normal thing, let's take action on it right now. What can we do? This is the most important obstacle or impediment affecting the team right now, which means we want to get this out of the way. So how do we make a decision in the moment with the best knowledge we have at the time, not being perfect, but make a decision in the moment and have a bias for action and go start taking action. So that relates to study some of the Scrum companies, the professional Scrum companies out there have done over the years. They've done a study, and one study they did showed that the speed of decision-making at every single level of the organization directly correlated to the speed a company moves in the marketplace. Which means you may not think it matters if there's 100 teams or 200 teams at your company, and your team's a little slow on making a decision because you take a week to do something that could take a day because you're overthinking it or you're trying to be perfect. You may think it doesn't matter, but it does. You want to be able to decide in the moment and then take action based on that decision and move forward. So that's the third key.
I really appreciate the third one because it reminds me of my sensei, whom we lost, and he passed on, Sensei Masaki Imai. And he was my sensei and to me, he's still my sensei. I was with him for over a decade and a half working for his institute, Kaizen Institute. And he would say that, and he would say, Mohan-san, do it. I said, yes. He said, do it now. The whole thing is don't procrastinate on that. You did your PD, you did your planning, etc. Now you go ahead and do it, and don't worry about it. You do your PDSA or what have you. So do it and do it now. And he used to insist on do it now. So that bias for action is something that I mean, it reminded me of my sensei. I miss him a lot. He was more parental to me than not in the Gamba, but outside the Gamba, yes. Now,
Yes.
let me ask you some rapid questions on leadership. A, strong leader. Strong leader, and it is a yes or no question. I just built it up. So
Sure.
it's not a trick question. A
Sure.
strong leader need not have the answer but he should not be shy to say so.
Yes. Do you have any comment on it, or just yes or
You
no?
can comment on that, because we parents have the same problems, because when the
Yes.
children ask us, we feel that we have to give them an answer even when we don't know that. So I was looking at many of the leaders who think that it is their responsibility to give the right to give an answer, whether it's right or wrong is secondary. So a strong
Yes.
leader, now having given the context, can say, I don't know, we can find it out together, something to that effect. Always, I mean, you must have come across many such cases.
All the times, as a parent and as a leader in the workplace, all the time. That comes up all the time. It's important to in the agile world, we call that being transparent. We call that transparency. So just saying, communicating, yes, I know about this, so I'm going to give you my best advice or my best answer, or no, I don't know about that topic. So I don't know. Let's go find someone who does, or let's make a decision as best we can without knowing, and then learn from that example. We'll call it an experiment.
Yeah, like even the lady you mentioned first, she would say that, oh, I mean, I don't know, but I know a person who knows about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
The second, which is not again a trick question, this is something that occurred to me. Or there's this famous equation that care of Jack Welch, Dr. Harry, etc., that was there, and I love them. Is that the equation goes like E is equal to Q into A. It means that effectiveness is this equality, but any intervention into A is acceptance. So, as you rightly said, people first, and organization, any intervention in organization is a human resource intervention, irrespective of whether it is technology or what have you. The acceptance factor, how do strong leaders deal with that?
The acceptance of a particular piece of work, or a person, or
Or a concept per se, like
or
Agile.
a concept, anything. Acceptance in general.
Yeah, because there is a team that needs to play, right? So yes, somebody should accept that Agile is what we require.
So yeah, acceptance in the way, yes. So you need to accept the and this is where one of the original founders of the Scrum movement, Jeff Sutherland, he talks about this concept of radical transparency. So you want to be accepting of your current circumstances. And okay, we're leading this team with Agile and with the Scrum framework, and nobody knows what to do. So we probably need some training, right? We need a little bit of support. Maybe we need an Agile coach to be here for a little bit as we're getting started, right? That was my situation in the beginning. So acceptance is really important. You want to accept the current situation, but also be open and communicative about what can you do to best respond to your current circumstances.
That's excellent, because that's one of the things that is required to support and sustain such agile movement, because that's the theme of my episode. So I think we have the answer for that. One of the things that is a strong leader, again, will never look at a failure as a failure, or probably learns from that, right?
Yes, fully. I mentioned the book at the beginning, the Lean Startup. This is all about experimentation. That's what it is. A strong leader will learn from everything, and whether their hypothesis was correct. Like, I think if we do it this way, we're going to have more success. We're going to be able to deliver more value to our customer. Our product's going to be more successful. Whatever it is, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But either way, they want to have a fast iteration of that. They want to learn quickly. Okay, that worked. Let's keep doing it. That didn't work. Let's stop doing that. Let's try something else. But you want to learn quickly. So they don't view. I agree with what you're saying. Yes, a strong leader doesn't view a failure as a failure. They view it as a new piece of learning that they can then apply to go forward faster.
Okay, no more, no more. It was never meant to be a quiz. It was more of my curiosity that
It's good. Good question.
So at the end of our episode, I am more knowledgeable than what I was earlier to starting it, and I was not. I mean, give us the ending line, one-liner of Agile Lean Leadership. Whatever you think, just give me a one-liner.
It's very much what your theme is commit to continuous improvement for yourself, for your career, and for your organizations. That will help make you a stronger Agile leader, as well as a stronger person in your life.
Thank you very much, Matt, and see you very often. And you're going to come on my SMET show. Thanks a lot.
Can't wait.
Thanks a lot.